Famsky, Jake Weingarten had an update yesterday. Top 50 2026 prospect Jonathan Sanderson has heard from a bunch of schools, Cart. Most notably, the number one school on the list that Jonathan Sanderson has heard from is the Michigan State Spartans, along with Louisville, Vanderbilt, Ohio State, Illinois, Virginia Tech, Georgetown, Indiana, Penn State, Iowa, Notre Dame, West Virginia, and Boston College. I know you get a little concerned every time you see the name Vanderbilt on a list. I know it's very hard for Michigan State to go head to head with Vanderbilt and get the guys that they want, but I think you got a chance here. You're the first name listed. And for those that don't know, Jonathan Sanderson is the son of ex-Michigan strength coach, ex-Illinois strength coach, John Sanderson, who is a great strength coach and also maybe played a large part in bringing Juwan Howard's tenure to an end at Michigan. I've had my eye on Jonathan Sanderson as a recruit for years because, again, John Sanderson, his dad, was at Michigan for over a decade. And we knew, like, as his son was growing up, like, you kind of saw him go from, like, little kid to, oh, he's a serious high school basketball player to, oh, he could really help some people. It's great that his dad is just happy at Michigan. And then all of a sudden, we get a year away from him going to college, and his dad is no longer employed at Michigan via scandal. So, anyways, you would think there's a real chance that Illinois could get him. You would think there's a real chance Michigan State could get him. You would also think there's a real chance he could go outside of the Big Ten and go to any of these schools here. Give me your breakdown on Jonathan Sanderson. I believe this is the first time we're talking about him formally on the channel.
Yeah, so like he's been a pretty like highly rated top 50 guy right around that range for a very long time. And the tape is I'm impressed by the tape. I never actually came away from it like, oh my God, this guy is gonna be a bona fide like star or anything from like the first day he steps on campus, or a player that is, I think, gonna be honestly a major contributor on a good basketball team in his first season. Like I think he's a multi-year college guy who needs to be also put in a good system because he's not necessarily the tallest, the biggest, the quickest, or anything like that, but he can really shoot the ball. He can really score the basketball. And he obviously there's a lot of ties associated with him because of his family history. Like you stated, he was at Michigan, he was at Illinois for a little bit. Where's his dad at now? Where did you say?
Do you actually not know?
Vanderbilt, right?
His dad's at Vanderbilt.
Okay, yeah, Vanderbilt. So like honestly,
Oh,
Vanderbilt sounds like a good school for him.
yeah. I mean, the doors.
Yeah, the door's gonna be open to take the keys from AJ Hogarth once that matriculates. But his dad played at Ohio State, his mom played at like Mercer, I believe it was. So obviously has the athletic bloodlines, but he's a good player, I will say.
I like him. Yeah. I don't like him. I don't like him that much. Is that fair to say? I think he's more of a 3-star than he is like the 50th best player in the country. And maybe that's being harsh for me, but everything I've seen him in person once, and back when he was playing in the state of Michigan. This was years ago, but like was not running to tell anyone that they should be recruiting John Sanderson's son. I don't see it. I think he's a good player. He's a bucket. He is a scorer. I don't think he has like alpha scorer on a high major potential. I don't think physically that's who he is. To me, he could be like a really, really good starter on a mid major. If he ends up on a high major, I think I would, at least if it were my team, be hoping that he's not ever asked to play a big role. Maybe for lack of some player comps to come to mind, like I get Russell Bird, Austin Thornton vibes from this. Like
I was gonna throw out there like, and I don't think he's as good as a dude, but like Docs.
Doc's had
Like Doc,
so much more dribble stuff.
I know he did, but I'm saying like Docs ended up going to what, Western Kentucky,
Yeah,
then Butler, then
yeah,
DePaul, I think it was. Like that to me would be like the school's like level that
yeah.
I would picture Sanderson would be most successful at. Otherwise, I think it would end up with him being at like a bigger school, like if it's a Michigan State or uh Ohio State or something like that, Michigan, Illinois, he would be a at best rotational guy for most of his career.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when you say Docs, you mean Chris Harrison Docs, for those that don't know, who was growing up around when we were in high school in the Lansing area. He played at Okemos, and then he jumped around a few Division I colleges. Um, yeah, I think that's a good comp for like what his career trajectory could be. I mean, he's gonna get a spot from someone here that is a lot higher level than anywhere Chris Harrison Docs played. So maybe we're just wrong. Maybe we're missing this. This also gives me a good in because I've been waiting for at least one time to say this on the channel. Now we can say this. The John Sanderson Illinois tenure was such a sham. It was
Mhm.
such a sham, and good for him. Like, good on him. Of course, go do it. But that was done specifically to troll Juwan Howard. You realize that, right? Like, John Sanderson was he ever even employed by Illinois, or was he just like wearing the quarter zip and allowed to take the bus with the team? Like, we said it at the time. They weren't going to replace Fletch with this guy. Fletch is beloved there. So, and those guys have way too big of egos, or at least John Sanderson's ego is way too big to split the strength coach job. And a month later, as soon as the season ends, he's out. But John Sanderson was like in all the videos of their Elite Eight run. He's like celebrating with the team. That was such a sham. It's insane. Now he's at Vanderbilt, and he gets to be a great strength coach. I'm sure he will really help Vanderbilt. Maybe he'll completely redo AJ Hogarth's body. AJ Hogarth, Camp Sanderson summer. Let's see what happens. But I don't know what to make of this. Like, John Sanderson being his dad, I don't know what that means. Like, does that mean he's going to just go to Vanderbilt? Maybe. I like Illinois has connections here, but again, I don't know how serious the John Sanderson relationship with Illinois even was. And I think it's crazy Michigan State's after him. Like, why aren't you a little surprised that Izzo's after John Sanderson's son?
I'm not buying that he's after him.
Well, I just realized this is a Saudi play, maybe.
I don't think we're seriously after him.
I mean, Saudi and John had a great relationship for almost a decade.
I
I'm
mean, he's a
sure as the Jawan stuff went down, Saudi and John were probably on the same side behind the scenes.
I mean, he's definitely a take. Also, Coach Izzo does have a soft spot for undersized Caucasian point guards,
And
a la Foster
sons
Lawyer. So, like,
and sons who get things they don't deserve.
yeah, yeah. So, like, that's crazy. That's just insane.
Is it?
Somewhat. But I don't think that I really don't think they're actually seriously after him.
I mean, I would take it very serious if Saudi is a lead recruiter. I would. That's not me joking anymore. Like, and again, I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't think you're sweating if you missed this one, but it was notable that Michigan State's on the list now in a way they weren't. I thought John Thin Sanderson would end up at Illinois. Now I'm starting to think it's elsewhere. Do you think he goes to like Vanderbilt because his dad's there? Or do you think it's somewhere else?
I think it ended up being like Vanderbilt or like a Notre Dame, something like
Indiana's on
that.
the list. I'll give you my pick. It just feels like he's this type of kid. I think he goes to Iowa. I think he goes to Iowa because the one thing I would say is John Sanderson is smart. He's not going to send his kid somewhere that doesn't make sense. And I think he, on behalf of his family, will steer him to a program that has taken like 3-star talents, turn them into really good college players. And I think Jonathan Sanderson would actually do really well at Iowa, like given what their roster is looking like when Peyton Sanford leaves. If Fran is still there, I think he could step in and probably play big minutes as a freshman and have an opportunity he wouldn't have at one of these other schools.
Yeah. I could see him being the next Brock Harding.
The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media big board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/NBA-mini-games.